Welcome into Under the Radar. I am Drew Martin. We are going on the WagerTalk YouTube channel here and taking a look ahead towards this week's college football. I guess we could call it Hurricane Ian week, as it's kind of affecting some of the practice schedules, location of games, and obviously totals and sides bettors to take notice. So we're getting after it, kind of working our way north here, starting off in the state of Florida, guys. We got Hurricane Ian tracker right there. Shout out to Will. Also, producer Dan behind the scenes for setting this up. Start off at the bottom here, USF. The Bulls, they are hosting ECU, that is, East Carolina, Saturday, and it's actually a change of location. They're moving it down to Boca Raton and playing at FAU Stadium. Something to keep in mind here, guys, kind of the fine print of each sports book. Some of them state, you know, if it changes the day or the location, the bet needs to be voided. It will be voided, and you need to redo your bet, re-put it in. However, some other books, Dan and I were just talking behind the scenes, DraftKings might not be the best example, but if the home team is still listed as the home team, something of that nature, they're still going to have the bet go live. So definitely read the fine print. Very important stuff here, guys, in terms of if you need to re-bet. If they change location or day of game. Feel free to reply below what you're noticing with your sports books and legal landscape, because always interested, and we can kind of work together to get the biggest advantage over the sports books. We got the next game up here in Orlando, just taking I-4 a little bit north, USF, UCF, the war on I-4 battle there, one of the better names in college football rivalries. Well, UCF is hosting SMU, and what they're doing here is changing the day. It's moving 24 hours back. They're going to play it on Sunday in the Bounce House. We got a total of about 64 and a half at other shops. And what this tells me, it looks like the weather is going to be pretty decent there on Sunday. Maybe look to bet that game up and over. Rhett Lashley and Gus Malzahn, of course, he was a long-time assistant for Gus Malzahn. Actually played quarterback for Gus Malzahn in that offense. So they both kind of run the same offenses, good offenses. I'd look to go up and over in that SMU-UCF game going on Sunday, guys, 1 o'clock. Going to be going up against NFL. Going to be an interesting kind of slate there. We got Florida, of course, in Gainesville. They're hosting an FCS team. That's moving to Sunday as well in the Swamp. I'm not seeing lines up yet because it is a FCS team, but something to watch there. It's on Sunday now, the Gator game. And also seeing Wake Forest and FSU, of course, in Tallahassee. Looks like the Hurricane Ian is moving more towards the right there, guys. More towards the east and maybe out of the reach of this Wake FSU game. Am seeing Tallahassee weather actually looking decent on Saturday, so maybe not too much weather impact in that Wake Forest FSU game. If there is, though, something to watch on Saturday morning, that Wake Forest RPO would be very much affected by wind and rain. So if we do get that, maybe look to go on the Seminoles, maybe a little under bet as well. As we make our way up north here for our next image, and that being UTSA and MTSU will be the next game we'll break down here. We get UTSA -4, 62 being the total. This in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And this is an interesting matchup, guys. We get MTSU going for over 500 yards last week versus the Miami Hurricanes, being a big underdog, winning outright. Jeff Traylor's team here, the long-time high school coach in Texas. Of course, he has UTSA playing good football for a couple years now. This year, we'll see. -4 on the road. That's the side I was looking at. Looks like decent weather in Murfreesboro. 15-mile-per-hour wind. Something to watch as we get closer. We got Georgia Southern and Coastal Carolina next game up. This might be impacted as well. If you look at the hurricane tracker, it's right there in what, Conway, South Carolina. -10, 58 being the total. It was 68. So we've seen a 10-point move on the under, and sure enough here in Conway, South Carolina, looks like rain, wind, tropical storm warning as well. So this might be one of those where they change location, something to watch as we get closer. But it looks like weather is going to have a impact here. Afternoon start, Georgia Southern, Coastal Carolina. Of course, Coastal Carolina 4-0. They're 26-3 since the start of 2020. In Georgia Southern, Clay Helton is their new head coach, comes over from USC, the Trojans, and they're throwing it all around. So I think this is going to affect Georgia Southern's offense big time if weather does play an impact. We got next game up, Clemson, South Carolina is where we're heading for a big one. NC State at Clemson, 40 being the total. Clemson minus 6.5. This total was 46. Tell you the truth, it's down to 39.5 at a lot of places right now. Maybe we could throw up the map here, Dan, because looks like this one's right in the path as well of where it will actually end up as we see, the Georgia, South Carolina kind of map here. And if you look there towards the bottom, looks to be Friday at 2 o'clock, so you can go Saturday at 2 p.m., and look right there, that's NC State and Clemson. Of course, they're going to be kicking off at 7:30. And not too far from them is Virginia and Duke, right up the road in Durham. That total was 56. Now it's down to 49, and Dukies -3. They're off of their first loss to Kansas. And look, Duke's playing good football. They've actually lost 7 in a row, going back 7 years to Virginia. But this year, they're playing a lot better. I think they got tripped up by Kansas, and Virginia's down. I don't know how the weather's really going to affect it in terms of the offenses. I think it's going to affect them both, maybe even Virginia more. Armstrong throwing around the lefty. But looks like Durham weather, guys, wind and rain, something to watch out for in that one. Going back to the map here, we actually got UTEP and Charlotte as well, guys. This is a big one where weather could impact it. Of course, Charlotte right in that cone of where it's going, and UTEP making the long trip over to Charlotte. I know there's kind of like a long-term record of UTEP being a terrible bet in the Eastern time zone, but actually this matchup, UTEP should be able to like roll them over. Their offensive line is big and strong. Charlotte can't stop anybody on the ground. So if this one has weather impacting, which it looks like it does, looking at the map, putting on our meteorologist cap, I think that favors UTEP big time. And we have seen a big move towards the under in that one. Making sure I'm hitting them all here. Virginia Tech and UNC. That one could be affected as well as we get the ACC battle there. And, of course, UNC throwing it around. I think that's going to hurt the Tar Heels big time. So in Chapel Hill, right next to Durham as well, we get two teams there very much affected by the weather. Also want to bring up LSU and Auburn on the left side of things in case it does make a turn. Keep you kind of on your toes here in Jordan-Hare Stadium. We get the Battle of Tigers. Could be affected, seeing wind in the forecast, 45.5 being the total. We've seen a move lower. LSU -9 as well. Of course, Auburn can't throw the ball anyway, really, this year. So not sure it affects the War Eagles as much as the Bayou Bengals. But we'll check it out in that one. A good game Saturday night if this does take a left turn. Guys, just a couple more games. Heading north, we actually have ODU in a game you got to look out for a little bit against Liberty, -2. That's the Flames. Liberty have kind of fallen off a little bit, 41.5 being the total. This one could be affected as well by the weather, but it still remains to be seen. That's pretty far north, and a lot can happen weather-wise until then. But guys, really wanted to end it in terms of bringing up the fact that you don't have to worry as much about, the North Florida schools and playing the game. They've already moved the location or moved the day to get away from the actual weather impact in the game. It's more for practice, preparation, travel. Where you really got to watch out for in betting these games, both sides and totals, is what the weather impact is going to be after that, where it's not really a hurricane anymore. It's just like a big rainstorm and wind. If they continue to play the games, a lot of times, even if it's a 5, 6, 7 point move, which we've seen in some of these games, I would still not look to bet it over, because when there is a lot of wind and rain, it really affects how these offensive coordinators call the game, how the quarterback can throw the ball. Wide receivers catch it as well. I know that the wide receivers know where they're going. So some people say, it could even help offense. Not when the wind's like that, guys. I'm telling you, year after year, I've watched it in these situations. I don't want to be betting those games over. If it's more than, 15, 20 miles per hour wind and rain, it's under or pass if you're betting it totals wise. That's my advice anyway, guys. That's going to do it for Under the Radar Hurricane Ian edition. I am Drew Martin. Check me out, WagerTalk.com. Also, hey, next week, going to be breaking down the totals even more. Hopefully we don't have another hurricane to break down in depth, but over and under teams going so far this season is something I'm going to be breaking down, what teams are being mispriced. So come back and join us next Wednesday on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. This is Under the Radar. Feel free to reply below, guys. Where you agree, where you disagree, all is welcome. Any questions as well, and what you're looking to bet, always interested in that. So please smash the like button. Best of luck with your bets, and have a fun, safe weekend. Cash those tickets.